And I want to get some parenting advice from you, hopefully, because so I'm the father of two young girls, and I've heard you give out great parenting advice before, and I'm sure a lot of the people listening, they're parents of their own. Now, growing up, my family and I, we immigrated here, started from nothing. We didn't grow up with much, so I wasn't very spoiled. But my daughters, it's hard not to spoil them. You have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. How do you not spoil your kids when you've achieved a certain level of success? Because you care about them, but I've heard you put your kids in coach and you're sitting in first class. I don't know if that's true, but just, what is your advice on that?
Yeah, that is true. And I'll tell you, I learned this from my mother. She hated entitlement. She hated the idea that somehow you de-risk the life because you destroy it when you do that. When I graduated from college, my mother said to me, look, I got good news and bad news. I'm going to come to the graduation. And then she said to me, however, the dead bird under the nest never learns how to fly. And I said, what does that mean? She said, it's over. There's no more checks. I have paid for your entire college. And now it's over. You've got to go make it on your own. And I said, Mom, I don't have a job and I have rent. And, she said, I don't care. You're on your own. And I was panicked because for 2 years, I nearly went personally bankrupt. And she just wouldn't. But she was teaching me something very important that I really applaud her for now, that I understand this idea of entitlement being a curse. It's not good. It's a curse, because if you de-risk a child by telling them you don't have to worry about anything, they don't. And they end up in a very bad place in their lives. Everybody knows some rich kid that's totally screwed up. Well, that's because they're entitled. And that's not my case in my family, because I learned that. I applied the same thing to my family. And I remember the day that we sold the learning company, that $4.2 billion transaction. I set up a trust, and one of many trusts. And it was designed, I went over to the lawyers in Boston. We were in Cambridge. And I said, look, I want this trust to take care of any child in my family, whether they're conceived out of wedlock or not, from birth to last day of college. And after that, nothing. And he said, wow, even your own kids? I said, yeah. It's a free ride from birth to last day of college, whatever that is. If they want to get a PhD, go ahead. But after that, nothing. And he thought it was harsh, but it was exactly what my mother did to me, and that's what we did. And when I went home that day, my kids were 3 and 6, and they were sitting in front of, a TV watching cartoons, and I explained the structure to them right there. I explained how it worked. And of course, they couldn't care less. They were watching a cartoon, but I felt they needed to know. Years and years later, when my son was doing really poorly in high school in Boston, and I was leaving I used to love to go watch movies with my wife on Sundays. And we did this traditionally, before the week would start, and often I would travel. So we'd go and see a movie together, go dinner and early dinner and then a movie. And so, Trevor comes up to me before we leave and says, listen, Dad, one of my guys in my class has his own trust fund. And I thought I had one too. I said, you do? You're a very fortunate guy. He said, well, explain to me how it works. And I said, well, if Mom and I get run over by a bus and we never come back from dinner, which would be horrible, but it could happen, you don't have to worry. You're going to get to finish high school, but it doesn't look like you're ever going to go to college. Your marks are horrific. And they said, okay, then what happens? I said, nothing. I'm dead and you have no money and you finished high school. That's basically it. He said, well, that's it? I said, yeah. The trust works for you to the last day of school, and you're not going to college because your marks are horrific. And I could see right then that he was facing the abyss. He had just figured out the trust, how it worked. And he was getting, and I said to him right there, the dead bird under the nest never learns how to fly. And he said, what the heck? It was exactly what my mother did to me. I said, you got to figure it out for yourself. And I'm giving you every chance in the world to do that. You still got 3 years left. You got to hunker down. You've got it in you to figure out how to get some marks and get into college. That was the moment, I think, that changed him. Because today, he works at Tesla. He's an electrical engineer. He went through the entire college system. It cost me a fortune, but he took me for my word that I paid for it. And he found his way, and now today he's got a great job at Tesla. I don't have to support him. I don't have to, because he's doing it for himself. That's what my mother taught me. No entitlement. That's the whole idea. That's what you should think about. Now, it doesn't mean you don't take care of children with catastrophic health problems or something else. But if you give them a free ride, you've cursed them. That's what I say.